Hey there, let me ask you something. What if the world around you, the screen you're looking at, the chair you're sitting on, even the people you love, wasn't actually real? What if everything you experience is just a picture in your mind? This isn't science fiction, at least not entirely. Almost 200 years before The Matrix, a German philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer proposed something radical, that the world is not something outside of us, it's something inside, a mental image shaped by perception, driven by a force he called will. In today's episode, we'll dive into Schopenhauer's most important work, The World as Will and Representation. We'll unpack his ideas in simple language and then connect the dots to the Matrix, to our modern digital lives, and maybe to your own reality. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Before we dive into his philosophy, let's take a moment to meet the man behind the ideas. Arthur Schopenhauer was a German philosopher, born in 1788. He lived during a time when most philosophers were caught up in logic, idealism, and the optimism of progress. But Schopenhauer, he looked at the world and saw suffering. He was deeply influenced by Immanuel Kant, who argued that we can never truly know the world as it is, only how it appears to us. But Schopenhauer took this further. He believed that the world we experience is just a mental representation, and behind this illusion lies a blind, irrational force, something he called will. Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat anything. He believed that suffering is not an exception in life, it's the rule. But at the same time, he wasn't just a pessimist. He offered a unique vision of reality, one that still feels relevant today, especially in a world of digital identities, simulation theories, and existential crises. He was also one of the first Western philosophers to be openly influenced by Eastern thought, especially Buddhism and Hinduism. In fact, many of his ideas about detachment, illusion, and desire mirror what you'll find in the ancient texts of the East. So, Schopenhauer wasn't just a thinker. He was a bridge between East and West, reason and feeling, perception and truth. And his most famous work? A massive book titled The World as Will and Representation, written when he was just 30. That's where our journey truly begins.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes.
All right, let's dive into Schopenhauer's main philosophy, the one idea that everything else is built around. It all starts with a simple but powerful statement. The world is my representation. Let's pause right there. What does that even mean? Well, look around you. Everything you're seeing right now, your phone, your hands, the room you're in, these things feel solid, real, external. But are they? Schopenhauer says no. He says what you're seeing isn't the thing in itself. What you see is how your mind interprets signals. The world, then, is not what is, it's what appears to you. That's what he means by representation. The entire world is a projection, a version of reality created inside your mind, using your senses like tools. Let's make this concrete. Think about color. There's no such thing as red or blue out there in the world. What exists is light bouncing off objects at different wavelengths. Your eyes receive those waves, your brain interprets them, and voila, color. The tree isn't green. You make it green. Now stretch that idea. It's not just color. It's shape, time, space, sound, motion, even the idea of causality. This caused that. All of it is part of the structure your mind builds to make sense of what it perceives. So again, the world is your representation. Reality is filtered, interpreted, shaped. And that means you've never seen the real world. You've only ever seen a version that your mind paints for you. Now, this idea isn't unique to Schopenhauer. He builds on Kant's theory of phenomena versus noumena, the idea that there's a world as it appears to us, phenomena, and a world as it truly is, noumena, which we can never directly access. But here's where Schopenhauer adds something original, something darker, something raw. He says, okay, fine, we can't know the world out there, but we are part of the world. So maybe there's a way to access its true nature from within. Think about it. When you move your arm, you don't just see the motion, you feel it. There's an inner force behind it. That force isn't a concept. It's not something you perceive from the outside. It's something you are. That inner force, the thing that makes you do, move, want, is what Schopenhauer calls will. Now be careful. This isn't will in the way we usually think of it, not free will, not conscious intention. It's something deeper, a blind, relentless drive, an instinctual push. It doesn't ask for permission, it just wants, and it never stops. The will is the hunger that keeps animals moving. It's the survival instinct in every living thing. It's desire, lust, ambition. It's the pain of not having and the pain of still wanting even after you have. It doesn't reason, it doesn't have a goal, it just wants. And according to Schopenhauer, this will is not just in humans. It's in all of nature. It's the force behind everything, plants stretching toward the sun, rivers flowing to the sea, the rotation of planets. The will is the thing in itself, the true core of reality, hidden behind the veil of appearances. So, let's recap. According to Schopenhauer, the world has two sides. Representation, what you see, hear, touch, taste. The world as it appears to you, a filtered projection, a mental model. Will, the raw, unconscious force behind everything, the world as it truly is, but not in form or logic, just pure drive. And here comes the twist. The will never rests. It never reaches satisfaction. It creates endless craving, and that craving leads to endless suffering. We want, we chase, we achieve, and then we want again. There is no final point of peace, because the will doesn't want peace. It wants motion, tension, desire, frustration, effort. This is the dark vision of life Schopenhauer paints. And yet, it feels oddly familiar, doesn't it? Think about modern life, the endless scroll, the dopamine loops, the pursuit of more. You might already be living inside a system designed by will. And that's where the matrix comes in. In the next section, we'll connect Schopenhauer's vision of illusion and will to the world of Neo, Morpheus, and the red pill. Ready to see how deep the rabbit hole goes?
It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
So, now that we've explored Schopenhauer's idea of the world as representation and the will that lies beneath,
Unfortunately,
let's
no
plug
one
into
can
a more familiar reality, or perhaps unreality. The Matrix, a film that's become a modern myth, a digital parable about truth, freedom, illusion, and awakening. At its core, The Matrix asks the same question Schopenhauer asked 200 years earlier. What if the world you experience isn't real. When Neo wakes up in the real world for the first time, unplugged, fragile, surrounded by wires and machines, it's not just a dramatic moment, it's a philosophical one. Because for the first time he realizes everything he believed was the world was only representation, an illusion built by code, a mental construct projected into his consciousness. Morpheus says to him, "What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain." Sound familiar? That's pure Schopenhauer. The matrix is the world as representation, designed to be perceived, not to be questioned. It's reality as a system, a simulation, and most people live inside it, unaware. Now think about the will. In Schopenhauer's view, the will is the blind force behind all experience, driving desire, suffering, survival. In the matrix, what drives the machines? Power, energy, survival. They don't care about truth or beauty. They care about consumption. They keep humans asleep, dreaming of comfort, while they harvest them. The will, automated. But the real insight comes when Neo awakens and begins to bend the rules of the matrix. He starts to see through the illusion. He understands that what seemed like unbreakable laws, gravity, time, even death, are just parts of the simulation. And with that realization, he becomes something more. He becomes will itself, conscious, directed, free. This is where Schopenhauer and the Matrix overlap again. For Schopenhauer, the path to peace, perhaps even to freedom, is through understanding. When we see the will for what it is, when we stop identifying with our desires, when we detach from the illusion of control, then we begin to transcend. Neo doesn't defeat the Matrix with violence. He defeats it by waking up, by knowing it's not real, and by acting from that knowledge. And that's maybe the most Schopenhauerian act of all, to awaken from the illusion, and to face the truth, however painful it is. So let me ask you this. Are you living in a matrix? Not the movie one, but the one built from your beliefs, your fears, your habits, your phone screen, your past. The one your mind created to feel safe, to stay busy, to keep moving. And if that's the case, what happens when you stop? When you step outside the system, even for a moment? Maybe that's when you'll glimpse something real. Not representation, not simulation, but will. Your will.